Are we rolling? Welcome back to another match preview here at the Gallagher, where we look ahead to a first potential double of the season. It's the return league fixture against Enfield Town. So a quick thank you once more to Joseph Parkhouse for manning the fort so admirably in my absence over the festive period. We'll see him again this season. Mark my words, he's got a bright future, that kid. But as we've already seen one footballing Sean lose his job this week, couldn't stand to lose another now, could we? So before we look ahead to Enfield, let's look back at the start of 2025 and finally a win against a Welling side whose performance against the Stones as usual defied their league position, Nigel.
You know, just going through that squad of players they've got there, you know, they're all players that you know can perform, and like we've said many times, you know, you come to the Gallagher Stadium, big crowd, you know, they're a localish club, you know, it's about whether it's a Kent derby or but it's a local game, isn't it? And there's a rivalry there throughout the years, not just recently, but in non-league through the ages, isn't there? So, you know, it's they travelled in numbers, there's a lot of fans behind them, and it makes them have to be on their sort of mantle to beat them, didn't they? And after the sort of news that we had of losing those 3 players before, you know, best of luck to them all, as we've said, but sort of you don't like to change a winning team, but you've literally had to change a winning team from Tunbridge because those players have gone. So and then to still get the victory, you know, it's good, and it just keeps that momentum and that winning run going, doesn't it? And again, another clean sheet as well. So you know, defence, and that's going to boost their confidence, isn't it, going forward?
So a quick FA Trophy roundup, mainly to check on those potential rearrangements for later this season. Worthing beat Torquay 5-1. Mo Fal, he had a hat-trick. Well done, lad. Bagsman. So that means Saturday the 1st of February will indeed see Torquay visit the Gallagher in a potential title 6-pointer. Salisbury lost 2-1 at Sittingbourne. One of Sittingbourne's players had to fix one of the floodlights before the second half got underway. So that's confirmation that Salisbury will visit the Gallagher on Saturday the 1st of March. Other results for National League South sides in FA Trophy action. Hampton and Richmond were knocked out 2-0 by Spennymoor. Kidderminster defeated Slough Town 4-0. And Boreham Wood won 2-1 at Weymouth with goals from, well, you know their names. So to Enfield, and transfers, comings and goings since last we met in September. Strap in. Immediately after we played each other, Michael Falevi departed, Adi Connolly, Herson Alves, Obi Onyeguara and Nana Owusu were dual registered with other clubs to gain match fitness. Damare Anyadika signed and dual registered with Isthmian Northside Waltham Abbey. Hisham Kasimu moved to Farnborough. Alfie Tuck joined on loan from QPR until January, so he might still be involved come Saturday. Centre forward Jake Hutchinson signed from Worthing. Club captain Scott Thomas departed in October, having made 185 appearances for the club. Defender Adam Thompson helped get Leyton Orient promoted to League One last season. Harley Mills' loan ended as he returned to the Posh. Ollie Knight moved to Chertsey on another dual registration. Midfielder Christian Scott joined on a 3-month loan from Wealdstone, whilst defender Jay Lambert stepped up from the club's academy. Keeper James Hilson joined in November when Reece Forster suffered a groin strain against Salisbury, and Adi Connolly was sidelined with a longer-term meniscus injury. Fionn Mooney spent 4 weeks at Enfield before he moved to Farnborough. Seems to be a common route in that part of the world. Ruben Shackpoke, a 20-year-old striker, spent time in the youth sides of Villa, West Brom. Harry Ottaway left for Tunbridge Angels. Lewis Taff left after making 160 career appearances for Enfield. Left-sided defender Henry Hawkins signed at the start of December. Midfielder Bailey Brown came in at the same time, joining from Hemel. Striker Anointed Chukwu joined from Welling midway through last month, and he's got 5 league goals so far this season. Prolific in the lower leagues in the early years of his career, as Joe mentioned on one of the previous previews. And their most recent signing, at the time of recording, is Amaru Kaunda. He signed on a 1-month loan from Cambridge United before their most recent match at home to Chelmsford. So, now I've got my breath back, Nigel. That very long list tells me they're having a similar time like we did in our first relegation season from the National League, where we had about 60 players all told, and it doesn't usually work out in the long run, does it?
Like we said before, they're one of the newly promoted sides, and they got up through the playoffs from the East Midlands Premier, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they beat Chatham in that game at the Chatham ground. But yeah, like you say, it never really works out, does it? You kind of, you can't ever build any momentum sort of doing it like that. You're hoping that, it's like a scattergun approach, isn't it? You just get loads of players in and just hoping that something sticks and you find a winning formula. But looking at the league table now, they are sort of that bottom four is sort of becoming a little bit adrift, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's going to have to be sort of playoff form to, at least top 7 form to actually do anything. And there's no signs of it really. You still got to be wary of them, haven't you? Because on their day, and like we've said it many times, we've said it just there on the review of the Welling game, they're not going to come many times to a ground. Well, they played Torquay on the opening day of the season, didn't they? And went 1-0 up and only lost 2-1 late on in that game.
Yeah.
So, if you can't get yourself up, this is why you're in this league. If you can't get yourself up to playing in front of the Gallagher Stadium, and the crowd that's going to be there, you're going to, you are going to be down. But that could be their sort of like their one game. I mean, you look at us. You mentioned that last season in the National League, we went in the trophy and beat Notts County on penalties. There, it is just this little ray of hope, this little bit of sunshine in an otherwise miserable season. Yeah. But as a fan base and as a management team, you can look back on that and it's like a little notch on your CV, isn't it? So, we've got to be wary of that. And obviously, we know we've been wounded. We've lost those players. We've lost players that have been in form for us. But then everybody's been in form, and you can look back to our original game when we played them at their place at the beginning of the season. Aaron Blair got his first career hat-trick that day, didn't we? And we didn't have. Bentley played that game, and he scored the opening goal there. But we didn't have Rush at that time. We didn't have Papadopoulos, and we didn't have Trusty at that time. So
Wanjo Smith.
And Wanjo Smith, yeah. So we've definitely got we've still got a good squad. It is just frustrating as a fan base when you're sort of fans' favourites and the players that are like really performing well for you. Move on, but as we've said before, never fall in love with a lone player. That's the crux of it. And I'm sure George, Craig, and Zach, and all the scouting team. They're very hard at work. They're looking, no stone unturned. But like George said, you want to get the right player, don't you? You don't want to just, there's loads of players out there. I'm sure he gets loads of agents calling him every day. Take this player, look at this player. But you want to get the right player that's going to fit in with the environment. It's quite easy. You could get a player that's only there for the money, or not ready for that step up. And they just disrails that sort of group, and one bad apple could send the whole cards crashing down. So we've just got to trust the process, as George always says, trust the process and see where it takes us.
So the key men so far this season for Enfield: Reece Forster has kept goal most of the season, and he's been between the sticks for all 3 of their league clean sheets. The last one was over 3 months ago now, though. Sam Youngs is their current active top scorer with 8 league goals. Those goals have helped earn up to 10 points so far this season. Lennon Peake was awarded the club's Player of the Month award for December after a series of fine performances on the wing. And Billy Leonard has the next most minutes behind Forster this season. He scored the winner at Bath back in September. A few key men in there, Nigel, but as we've seen from their results, not as many big performances from their big players so far this season.
That must have a disruption. If it's like a revolving door in that changing room, you could build a relationship with a player that's sitting next to you in the changing room. Next week he's gone out on a dual reg and somebody else has come in their place. So it's very difficult to build any kind of momentum, isn't it? We've all been there as football fans. We've all been there. You have the highs and you have the lows. And they had the high last year of getting promoted. When they weren't the favourites, I don't think. They was at Chatham's ground, and they had their day in the sun, as they say. But this year, they just find that transition a little bit harder. But as they say, there's nothing like a wounded animal to strike fear. So we've just got to be on our mantle and take care of our own business, and hopefully we'll get the 3 points.
So Enfield's form since last we played each other in September: 17 league games in that period, 4 wins, 10 defeats, 3 1-all draws, curiously. The last 2 games they've played have seen contrasting results with similar endings. New Year's Day saw Enfield lose a 6-pointer at St Albans, despite Sam Young scoring a 98th minute consolation, and that sent them bottom of the division. And then they hosted Chelmsford last Saturday, where the aforementioned Sam Young scored a 96th minute winner, sending them straight back up to 21st. Their FA Cup exit was at home to Peterborough Sports in the match immediately after we visited them, and the FA Trophy saw a 4-2 loss at, again, the already aforementioned Sittingbourne in the round of 64. So, Nigel, it's been a very steep learning curve for this squad this season, and the results in league position have really confirmed that again, haven't they?
It's difficult. It must be hard for the management team as well. They're obviously looking at players and they're getting local players in and they're trying to sort of trim the squad by putting a few out on dual reg. But as I say, that revolving door all the time just doesn't aid to any sort of consistency in performances. Yeah. And it's one of those things we've all been there as football fans, haven't we? And you just have to take the rough with the smooth and just maybe hope that you get some sort of ray of light with these new signings that they're making. Some of them sort of hit a rich vein of form and it clicks for them and they actually put up a fight. I think it's going to be looking at the table, them 4 that are in that relegation place, is just sort of jockeying for the positions and who's going to finish bottom and who's going to be like 4th from bottom. But with the teams above them, you've got to have somebody that's going to drop like a stone. And you only have to look at the results in the week when it beat Weymouth. So again, that pulls them that a bit away from it. And like we've always said, a lot of these teams that you've got Welling and Bath, they're experienced teams at this level. So you're having to play catch up to just get on a level par of them, not to even overtake them. And it's going to be tough for them. But hopefully they put something, give their fans something to celebrate, but just hopefully not on this Saturday.
Yes, delay it a little bit longer. So a quick note reminding you just to allow a few extra minutes to get to the ground on Saturday. We had the recent flooding of the River Medway. It's obviously abated now, but a lot of mud, slurry, ice, all sorts of things about. So do check your local social media groups for updates. Ultimately, if the waters and the icy patches are too much for you, and if you can't make the game for any other reason, then make sure to tune in to this man, Nigel Seeger, alongside Alex Delval from 2:40 on Stones Live. You'll see them on the hot take and hear them on the highlights once they go online, as long as they can both defend the laptop this time if needed. So a first double of the season is a real possibility this weekend, but Enfield themselves, as we've already heard, desperate for the points to close that gap to the dotted line. And they've scored some very late goals in their last 2 outings, so it should be another good game here, hoping for another raucous Gallagher atmosphere. I'll try and add to it with me sore throat, obviously. Our thanks, as always, to you for watching or listening to the latest preview. Like and subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Search for the Maidstone United podcast. See or hear you for our next preview ahead of the away league game at Chesham United. And as always,
come on, you Stones!